Hey, here we are, Route 66. We're on day number 346, and we're in the book of Philippians. Only 4 short chapters. Well, short depending on what you look at, but there's so many good memory verses in this. So many good verses to underline, and that's a good thing to do. Um, the theme of Philippians, joy, happiness. In spite of your circumstances, because of Jesus, not because of your circumstances. So many people, if they're having a good day, they're happy. If you see moody people, I'm in a good mood. Why? Things are going good. Things start happening bad, I'm in a bad mood. Where was Paul when he wrote this? You may not see it in the writing, but Paul was in prison. If any place that we shouldn't be happy, it would be in prison. But Paul found joy not in the circumstances, but he found it in Jesus. So that's the thing. Chapter 1, joy. He found joy in partnership and purpose. He was partners with these people. Even if he wasn't with them, they were partners together. Even his imprisonment didn't stop the gospel from going out. It continued to advance. He wanted the gospel to go into all the world, and even though he was in prison, it was still going to all the world, and he was happy about that. He had the mind of Christ in Philippians chapter 2. He wanted to think like Jesus. And did Jesus ever have anything bad happen to him? Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, you think about it, he goes all the way back to when he was in heaven. He came to earth, and then he died on a cross. That was Jesus went down, and then God blessed him. God gave him the name above every name. And he said, this is what you ought to do. We need to be like Jesus. And then he talks about Timothy and another person named Epaphroditus, who were very good servants. Chapter 3, he warns about false teachers. And he says, you know what? I've got a lot of things going on in my life, but I can't count everything as a loss. Nothing is worth as much as knowing Jesus. I'll trade everything for knowing Jesus. And we are to press toward that, toward knowing Jesus and the heavenly prize, the calling that's up there. Continue to look forward to what's ahead, because we can get really down on the stuff that's happening here. Continue to look forward. And in chapter 4, just a beautiful chapter, he urges unity, prayer. He talks about the peace of God, the strength that we can have in him, in Jesus. He also talks about rejoicing always, no matter what, to be content in every situation because of Jesus' strength. And then he finishes thanking the Philippians for their continued support even while he was in prison. So just some lessons to think about with this one. One lesson, joy is in Christ, not circumstances. Don't let circumstances rob you of your joy. Now, that doesn't mean that we have to be happy about our circumstances, but we can be happy and joyful in spite of our circumstances, because Jesus will deliver us from that. Second lesson, humility and unity are essential for having a healthy Christian life. We need to be humble before each other, and for sure before God, but before each other. And we need to have unity. Unity isn't uniformity. Unity means that we work together. And I think that's important for believers to do that. And then a third lesson, true contentment comes from pursuing Jesus above everything else. To be content. You don't have to have all the bells and whistles of life. You got Jesus, you got enough. It reminds me of Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. The Lord is my shepherd. I don't really need anything else, because he takes care of me. So just settle in and rediscover the peace and contentment